So I was watching the big announcement yesterday made by Apple about their new Vision Pro, ridiculously overpriced, of course, $3,500. Apple wants the middle class to be complete slaves to them, and instead of paying for your vacation, paying for your kid's college fund, no, put these things on. They're going to change your life. We saw photos of them. It's completely ridiculous. My Nebula design for my goggles with the planet is so much better. It's completely chrome. It's completely slick. And you got like the see-through area of it. It is terrible. Really, really bad design. The problem with Apple, my main problem is there's no innovation. And why should there be with Apple, right? When it comes to their cell phones, they get maybe 1% better every single new phone. The 16 is 1% better than the 15. The 17 is 1% better than the 16. I'll give them credit back when they eliminated the home button. That's good. I liked seeing that. But Apple has gotten so stagnant now. Every phone is the same thing. They're constantly killing the battery life on purpose to force you to buy new ones. There's really no incentive to buy a new one. A good example of this, I don't know what my iPhone is. I don't know if it's the 11, 12, 13S, 14 CZW, 15 SE. I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe the 10. But either way, guys, Apple at this point has gotten completely stagnant. What we need is we really need a new phone, and we need a true competitor to Apple. You can say that's Android, but now with Apple upping their games with the VR, like $3,500, it's completely ridiculous. The great thing with Nebula and how I want to develop the planet is going to pay for everything. So when we make the jump to Web3, the planet, buying land on it, that's going to help pay for all of the potential products, and that's when you get into the Nebula Phone, which I would want to call the Nebula One, along with other things. The VR element is so important. That's the whole idea. You buy land on the planet, you put on the VR goggles, and again, the goggles that they showed, it's disgusting. It's part of the reason the Google Glass, which are like the little glass things that came out in like 2013, 2014, those things didn't work because they were really clunky. No one liked using them. You looked like a 75-year-old dude trying to like read philosophy when you put them on. This next thing that they're selling for $3,500 looks like crap. It doesn't look nearly as bad, but it still is. I want to have a chrome design. I want a translucent frame where you can change colors on the outside as well. But the idea is it's VR. You buy land and we develop everything, and we develop things like the Nebula Phone. Once you buy the Nebula Phone, the planet will already be downloaded onto the phone so you can see how much you own. And the other main issue I have with Apple, there are never any safeguards for adults and children with internet addiction. And that's a growing epidemic in America, and you would think there would be some type of market, especially for young kids. It's like, where is the option? If the kid's 12 or 13, you may say, oh, it's the iPod and it didn't work. I think the iPod's a little bit different. The iPod was not meant to be a phone. My proposal for kids and for adults with social media problems, and that is a big issue because people will be scrolling for hours. You're ruining your productivity. Let's create some type of phone that's really good with phone calls, really good with email, really good with communication. Let's not allow the TikTok, because TikTok is internet cancer. And then people say, oh, you're a hypocrite, you're a YouTuber. No, I think one of the best things for kids, there's been studies, is long form YouTube content. YouTube had to create shorts because they were bullied out of the market with TikTok, and it is really sad. I think TikTok should be banned. It's sad that we can't get it banned, but that's because they ask for more things in the bill. We're not going to accept that and let them infringe on our rights, so you really can't ban it if they're going to ask for more things. If they said, let's make a bill and just say ban TikTok, it is a slippery slope with banning stuff, but I would support that if it's just that. Because TikTok is so terrible for kids and adults as well, it's so addictive. Think about the TikTok For You page. I don't even think that existed on Twitter Maybe it did. Maybe I'm just misremembering it, but it's the idea of, oh, Twitter wants to get you so obsessed with their platform, they're going to start recommending shock content that you don't even follow these people, but because it's on your For You page and it has 30,000 likes, they're going to recommend it for you, and it's shock content that wants you to engage with it, that wants you to get outraged. It's a dopamine hit. So we really need to create a phone where there's no TikTok for the kids. The phone can call people, it can do all those type of things, but all the depression is so high, and of course, with the young people on social media, there needs to be some type of safeguard. There never is. Again, you can say, well, they had the iPod and the adults undercut that market by not using it properly, but I don't think the iPod was intended to be a phone. It wasn't. I mean, you could download WhatsApp and all that stuff, but it's not like, at least when I had the iPod Touch back in 2010, 2011, it was not a phone. Right? Again, you could turn it into that, but I do think there needs to be something that gets developed that's just meant to call people, things like that. But guys, getting back to Apple, and I don't even know what it is. I saw iOS 17 trending yesterday. This is just pathetic. I mean, how long are we going to let Apple control the market? I give them credit. They've done a great thing, with... you got the iMac, you've got the iPad, you've got the iPhone, you've got the AirPods. When I do videos, I'm constantly using the AirDrop function. So they definitely have got everyone hooked onto, the entire system. The cloud is annoying. I don't use that. But just in terms of everything together, it is going to be a hard switch off of Apple. But I think it can be done within a decade, especially with something like Nebula. Apple understands that we are going to VR, right? We're going to VR, so they come out with their thing. I think it's a horrible attempt. I don't know how you expect people to pay that much money, but they come out with their little thing. They admit we're going to VR, but I have an ace up my sleeve. I have Planet Nebula, which is the all-encompassing mega god, not only of cryptocurrency, but of Web3, where you buy land and it's just, there's a minute amount of land. You can see the land you own through your VR goggles, or even just on the website. It is the ultimate trump card for any of this. So once that gets going, the planet gets made, and the Nebula One phone comes out, I think Apple's going to be in big trouble for sure when that ends up happening, because this is true innovation. We have a trump card over Apple, no doubt about it. It is a planet. They don't have that. And then they say, oh, it's useless, it's digital. Yeah, so is Bitcoin useless? I mean, this is what it is. It's digital day and age. And this is not like an NFT or anything like this. This is land on the internet. Very similar to Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is digital gold. I love Bitcoin. I think everyone should buy Bitcoin. This is something different. This really sustains people and the advancement to Web3. Get everyone on Web3. Get everyone off of Google. It's not that I have anything against Google. I do think they manipulate their search results. When you're not bipartisan, it becomes harder to trust you. And that's like, how hard is it if you're Google? Shouldn't one of your main concerns, and this is like the same thing with the FBI, isn't the number one concern, okay, so we run we run something where there's a lot of information, a lot of different minds come together. Shouldn't we be completely bipartisan? Isn't that very important? But none of them are. None of these companies are. The FBI already admittedly isn't. So it's just like what's the point? Isn't that, if you're Google, wouldn't it make sense in America especially to be like, okay, we're bipartisan. We hire people on the right. We hire people on the left. We are making sure there is no bias. They don't do any of that. They admit they lean one way. That's the problem with Google. It's like, if you're not bipartisan and you control information online and what people see, that's an issue. That is a problem. So that's why I don't think Google's coming to Web3. They've gone completely partisan, and it really is manipulating the search results, and it does other things as well. I'm not going to get into that, but overall, guys, that is the situation with what's going on right now. And then when it comes to the Android phones, I've never been an Android person, but I do respect. I think they've got about 42% in terms of sales versus Apple at about 58%. That surprised me. That's in America, by the way. I know everyone says, oh, there's more Android users than iPhone users around the world. I understand that, but we live in America and iOS is more popular than Android. But either way, I'm not a fan of the interface of Android phones. That's just a personal preference of mine. I do like Apple better than that. But yeah, these new little goggles that they have, I do think it is. There's never any safeguards. These people are going to get obsessed with these. They're going to wear them 24/7. Lay out some safeguards so bad things don't happen within society and people really getting obsessed with wearing the goggles and not wanting to take them off, because that's probably going to be an issue in the future. But they never think about any of that. They just say, you know what? Save up. People who make $60,000 a year, instead of going on vacation. And these things, I've already seen people where they're like, oh, we're going to hook our kid up to this thing while they're on the airplane. Maybe that's the best use of them. Maybe that is the best use. Give them to a kid. But I just wanted to talk about the situation with the iPhone. I had to look it up because I lost track. It's the iPhone 15 coming out. I thought it was the 17. My whole thing is, are we really going to keep doing this with Apple? Like, are we going to get to the point where it's the iPhone 37? How NPC can we get? Let's develop something greater than this and really make the jump to Web 3. I mean, they're talking about like the iPhone 45. It's like, come on, folks. At what point is enough enough? They're improving it by 1%. And I think it's smart because they keep selling them. I wouldn't change anything if I were them either. But there does have to be, at a certain point, a new player to the market that really takes over the number one spot from Apple. So we'll have to see what ends up happening, guys. But that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.